show, everyone. America's favorite gardener's here. He is. Well, if you do not know, houseplants are having a moment these days with millennials. So much so that plant parenting, yes, that's a thing, plant parenting has become a thing. Here to talk about how millennials are obsessing over plants, garden guy Dale Kay, everybody. Hello. Welcome back. I'm very excited to talk about this because, no joke, the people that I follow on Instagram, if they're in their 20s, I was telling executive producer Jeff and Ted, all of them have plants. They are obsessed with their house plants. They go to that cactus store, the couple that's been on our show. What?
Mother.
Yeah,
great.
They go to Mother to get cactus. What is this about? Why, when, how, where?
I almost call it a leafy love affair because for a while there was basically plant blindness. You know, it was just in the backgrounds. And I think what happened was, or the way gardening traditionally happens is once you tend to own your own home, then you move out into the suburbs, then your lawn, then your pots and all that becomes a thing. What's happening with millennials, I don't want to really generalize, but what's happening is, firstly, young people are particularly concerned about the environment, the planet that we're all inheriting, okay?
Right there.
So they're deeply concerned about that, and I can almost put that into context in Australia. A lot of bushfires, then floods, and people, especially back home in Australia, they're surrounding themselves with plants. So there's a deep connection with nature, and there is that deep concern about the planet that we're inheriting. But millennials in general are somewhat, they're not moving out into, they're not getting married, they're delaying that, they're delaying buying their own home. So what they're doing is they want to connect with nature. So they're bringing what they can bring into their homes, which is houseplants, and that's kind of where it all kind of started. And the gardening business in general, nationally, this was the last U.S. Census, is about $53 billion. A quarter, that's in a year.
That's crazy, Dale.
A quarter of that spending, about $13 billion, is spent of ages 18 to 34. So that age group, 18 to 34, is spending about a quarter of that national $53 billion.
I knew it. I knew it wasn't just anecdotal. I knew it was anecdotal, and then that New York Times article came out about a month ago that laid it out. You laid it out better, but they laid it out pretty well too. All the reasons that you just said.
And I've seen it myself. I'm deeply connected to this industry. I'm a family man. My daughter, she's 21. She's probably on the younger end of the millennials, depending on who you're talking to. She's at college. She's in North Dakota, in a crack house. But she's living with 4 other girls. I mean, if you were to think like, oh my God, college, like, I mean, I was horrified.
Yeah. You just mean that the house isn't the nicest, is what you're trying to say.
No, it's probably confused with local law enforcement as like.
This is perhaps my favorite moment at our show in about a month. Anyway, okay.
She has 2 houseplants in a room, and I'm the garden guy, yada you.
Yeah.
I couldn't get her to garden with me for years. She did when she was really young, but all of a sudden she comes back the other 2 years ago and says, Dad, I need some plants for my room. So here in front of us.
Yeah, what do we have in this?
In front of us, I kind of like the grandfathers or the originals of what started this this social craze with millennials, and we'll get into some of the new trends. But it all started with succulents. I was talking to executive producer just the other day. Are succulents still popular? Yes, they are, and they kind of started it in this particular plant. The Echeveria was really the one that kind of kick-started it all because succulents are generally easy to take care of, or they are easy to take care of.
And I always can tell, too, Target makes fake, whenever Target makes a fake version.
Okay, there you go.
No, I'm not kidding. Right, audience? No, Target sells a whole bunch of these now,
It's on T-shirts. It's aloe vera, string of pearls, which you have a fake one on your desk somewhere. That one. The little pillias, they were extremely popular. This one here, Sansevieria, also super popular. And coming up in the next segment, we'll show you some new trends in Sansevieria. You really can't go anywhere without seeing this leaf. It's on T-shirts. It's on dish soap. It's on DIY television. Monstera delosia. This one is everywhere, and that's
probably. What is it called?
Monstera dolosia. And
you should probably get that checked out, Dale. You should probably get that.
You couldn't give this thing,
Thank
20,
you, Aaron.
20 years ago, you couldn't give this thing away. And then also on the very end down there is Ficus lyrata. That's also in just about every lifestyle commercial or
magazine,
show, magazine. So that one is extremely popular as well.
Buddy, is that sturdy? Like, is that easily killable? The one down there.
The funny thing is, it's actually a hard plant to take care of.
Oh.
And that's kind of like, it's really not the easiest one to take care of, but there are some ones that are, most of these in general are super easy. Kendall actually owns just pretty much all of them.
All of these.
All of these, and wants one. So
she's a plant mom.
She's a plant mom. We'll talk about hashtags too coming up.
We will. More with Dale K right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. Millennials and plants. Millennials and plants. Again, I got to credit my Instagram friends, Matt and Tori. Every time they post, it's about plants. What are we doing now?
So the reason is, for I guess the Instagram, or you mentioned that in particular, that really single-handedly took houseplants from plant blindness into the light. And there's good reason for that, because Instagram is something so visual, and some things take good pictures. Like, I don't take a good picture. Hello?
You do.
But,
look at you right there, Dale. You're pretty. Look at that. Look at that shot right there. That's a good-looking man right there.
But plants lend themselves, flowers as well, plants lend themselves very well to photography. And so you have that medium of Instagram, which is very visual, and then you combine it with something beautiful that connects you with nature, and you have such the craze that it is now. And
these are the hashtags, the popular hashtags with the youngins?
So there's about 20-something hashtags that people are using right now for the plant community. They are some of the more common ones: plant addict, plant mom, plant parenthood. It's a thing. Okay, it's a thing. Plant lover, plant buddies, houseplant club. That's a few of about 20, 24 hashtags that if you want to become connected to the houseplant community, become connected to nature, they are some good resources or some good things to check out.
What's in front of us now? You have changed the table here. What are these? Yeah.
So
thank you, audience.
The ones that we looked at before the break were kind of like the grandfathers of the social media craze.
These are the Billie Eilish. These are the new ones.
These are the up and coming. Yeah. And there's some really cool plants, and that's kind of what the unique thing about being a plant parent is. You start off small, but then it becomes somewhat of an addiction. Yeah. That you become connected to nature.
All of my friends have 8,000 plants now.
So we're venturing off into some really cool plants. This first one here I saw in South Florida about a month ago. I'm just like, what is that?
What is that?
It's the pickle plant. It's the pickle plant. It's a succulent. It has a very fleshy stems to it, but it's basically a succulent, and it's called the pickle plant. And if you were to look at that on the Insta, you'll find that right there. Very, very cool. The other trend that's also coming into play is plant decorating. So like stringer pearls, plants are becoming incorporated into light fixtures, living walls, of course. And the 70s macrame.
Oh, my mother had several of those.
That's being used extensively.
Mom, remember these? If you're watching from Louisiana, remember these? Yes.
Yeah, so that's becoming a big trend, or decorating in general, using different types of vessels to decorate with. This is called kokedama. We'll just put that in the view. So it's a little mossy bowl that has a plant put into it, just potted into it. But kokedama is something that's becoming extremely popular on Instagram. I mentioned plants like monstera that you couldn't give away 20 years ago.
Yeah.
There's another plant that that a garden center couldn't sell for the life of it 20 years ago. That's called Hoya. That particular plant, it's like a little vining plant, but when added into like a little tube, it's actually, I should take this out so you can see.
It comes in that tube?
It's just like in a little piece of floral rock wool.
And that's real?
Yeah, it's real. Touch it. It won't bite. There you go.
Okay, yeah.
But it's called. It has a common name of wax plant. It has that kind of real waxy leaf to it.
Yeah.
But Hoya, you couldn't give this thing away.
And now
it's one of the hottest trends on social media.
Okay, Insta friends, pick that
There you
up.
go,
Matt,
Toya.
Tori, pick those up. Okay.
This is another cool one that I saw in South Florida. I should mention South Florida is kind of the epicenter for houseplants in the United States. So good chance if you've bought a houseplant, it's been grown in South Florida. This little one here is an alocasia, and it's called, I'll leave it on the table, it's called Tiny Dancer. And it's
Tony Danza?
Tiny.
Tiny Dancer, okay, yes.
Tiny Dancer. It's the accent. It's the accent.
Friends reference, drink everybody. That's right, yes.
Tiny Dancer. It's a way to have an alocasia, a tabletop alocasia, also making some waves on social media. And then Sansevieria, we talked about that as one of the grandfathers back 5 years ago. Well, Sansevieria is also having its new reoccurrence with all these different types of forms. I should just tip that one up. It's a little swirl of a Sansevieria.
Oh, that's pretty.
All the new Sansevierias are becoming extremely popular.
It looks like a little artichoke.
This little cactus here
Okay.
is really fun. It's called bullwinkle because it's developing its little moose ears here, but it doesn't have prickles. You can run your hands up and down that all day long.
There we go.
And then, of course, with the popularity also comes plant marketing, and you can see plants being packaged in cartoon characters, all that sort of thing. So if you don't think that there's something going on towards young people,
this is the best era ever for you. You plant people must be. You're having parades and stuff. You're so excited. Yeah. Dale K.
I get to be on the telly.
That's right. Garden Guy Dale K. We'll be posting this segment on Facebook. Share it with your plant friends. Just search for Jason Show TV and a little bit later on YouTube.